And welcome back to Territories Talk once again. I am Chris Famous of Bermuda. Territories Talk was founded in, I would say, 2018 before COVID, specifically for the purpose of bringing in information, news from around the overseas territories, particularly the British overseas territories, and helping us to educate ourselves of what's going on, not just in our own little islands, but in our sister islands. You've been going for 7 years now, online for the last 4 years. And from time to time, we have some new guests that we'd like to introduce you to. And today, I'm very honored to bring in a guest from the Cayman Islands, specifically Grand Cayman, a young man that is standing up not just for himself, but helping to educate his compatriots and us in the other parts of the world about what's going on in Cayman Islands. So without further ado, I now introduce Hunter Walton. Good evening, Mr. Walton. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much, Mr. Famous, for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Mhm.
I'm excited to just speak on your platform and build communication between the Cayman Islands and other overseas territories. I think it's very important, and this is the first step, and I believe it's a good step in that direction. So I'm happy to be
Oh,
here.
okay. So before we go any further, tell us, I don't know. Let's say I didn't know you. Let's say tonight was the first time I'm actually seeing you. Tell me
O-
who is Hunter Jaffet Walton.
Okay, well, I'm Hunter Walton. I'm 28 years old, born and raised Caymanian. Both my parents are Caymanian, so fair to say I'm a full breed Caymanian. And this place is all I've ever known. Um, just like I said, an average Joe, 28 years old, and I have a passion for my country, my people. I've also, opened different businesses, and I felt the struggles and seen the difficulties that we have as Caymanians, just surviving and the struggle we have living in the Cayman Islands. So I've decided this year that I'm going to be stepping up to the plate, and I want to represent my people in Georgetown West in this year's election. So I will be running. I'm already an official candidate, and I've been doing some work and over the last year in my community, and I'm just hoping to make a difference, spark some change, get some more young people to step up to the plate. And yeah, if I'm elected, I'm looking forward to getting some good work done for my people. We need it more now than ever. So
All right,
yeah.
so we'll get into that a little later on. But for now, let's do a little bit of who is dun 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 who is Hunter Walton.
Okay, all right. So you got some pictures, right? So we got
Yeah.
myself in the back. This is an old picture. This is back probably before COVID, because you can see I had a nice tan. So I was working in the water sports industry. As a lot of you guys might know, we have some excellent beaches. We also have Stingray City. So I used to take people out to Stingray City all the time, and that's where I got that nice tan from. In the middle, we got my
Mhm.
mom. Her name is Tammy Walton. She's very well known in the community, being of that older
Which
generation.
community? Which important to say? Which community of Cayman Islands?
Well, specifically, she's from North Side, so she's a North Sider. So I have quite a bit of family in North Side.
Mhm.
But back in her time, when she was about my age, Cayman was much smaller, like 20, 30,000 people. So pretty much the whole island knows her. So she's pretty popular, good woman. Um, she's done a very great job raising me with manners, respect, and to be kind, and I'm very grateful for her. Um, I love her. What can I say more than that? And then I have my sister there on the side. That's my oldest sister, Paige. Again, another beautiful example of what a good woman is, and helped me to become the man I am today. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, there we go. And
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry. And who's this chapter?
that's me. That's me. It looks like just after COVID, we were coming out of lockdown. Like I said before, I was working in the tourism industry, just as like a boat captain. I actually have my 100-ton yacht master, so I'm a licensed captain, and I was doing tours, and of course we lost our job, COVID, and all I had left to my name was a little fishing boat, and a little pickup truck. So I'd go out fishing, catching wahoo on my little 14-foot boat for for money just to survive, And from there, I took the same little truck and I expanded and I started picking up garbage, moving furniture, and that ended up growing into a business, Hunters Moving and Removal, which I ran for a couple of years. And there we go. Yeah, you can see a patriot at heart. I had my Cayman flag flying proud, and I would move furniture, make money, and that allowed me to develop into the businessman I am today. I have a coffee shop business, and now I also have a charter company. It's been a big dream of mine. I didn't send any photos into that, but you can see my little coffee shop business right there. It's a mobile trailer. Cayman is developing quite fast, and the cost of living and the cost of rent is quite high. So I had to think, outside of the box. So I decided to build a shop on a trailer, just because of the fact that you can move it around, you can be mobile with it, and it's worked out great. It's made from recycled material. I think I have my grandma's hurricane shutter. If you look carefully on the roof, that's actually my grandma's hurricane shutter, and some recycled lumber and stuff, and I kind of just threw it together. And this business has been doing great, but unfortunately in the last couple of days, well, not days, I think it was about a week before nomination, planning had came down with some new regulations on me, and unfortunately I'm going to have to be closing this business, which is interesting because I've been in operation for over 2 years, but nevertheless we are resilient and we have a fight to fight. So we just move on from that. Yeah, but that's my little coffee shop business there on the corner of Walker's Road in South Sound. And then
All right, so let's elaborate a little bit. What was everybody who's, I don't know, over 20 years old can remember what life was like before COVID?
Yeah.
What was life like in Cayman Islands before COVID?
Well, we have a saying, Cayman time, right? And that means that we take our time. It's a little bit slow. It's a little bit laid back. And that's very much what Cayman felt like before. It was very slow. It was almost boring, because we didn't have any rapid development. We didn't have a bunch of migrants or expats moving into our country. It was quite slow. It was beautiful. Those were the days, in my opinion, I would call them the golden days for my generation. Cayman was it was home, and things have changed quite a bit since COVID. We had a massive influx of not only expat workers, but people coming in purchasing status. That's the framework for us here in the Cayman Islands. Is we try to attract rich people into the island, and of course it's a tax haven. Our financial services are top world class, and so we attract these kinds of people, and we have over the years large developers, even migrant workers have just been benefiting from our system, and this huge influx of people has really put pressure on us here in the Cayman Islands. Before COVID, the price of land was probably half of what it is now, and it's become too far out of reach for the average Caymanian nowadays. It's quite tough.
So tell us about this picture here.
Oh yeah, this is Stingray City. This was before COVID, because I had stopped working in the water sports industry. Even that has grown tremendously with zero protections for Caymanians in the industry. It's just been flooded. You can't go there and enjoy a stingray like that anymore these days. Protections, right? You have to keep putting protections in place for your people as you grow, right? But that's at Stingray City. That was before, like I said, before COVID. Beautiful waters. I mean, those were the days. I remember going out there and we'd make a good living. We could afford to, rent a home, pay our bills, have a little bit of extra money left over. And unfortunately, it's just not the same anymore. I mean, like I said, these are the golden days. Those were the golden days of Cayman.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's continue a little bit more with who's Hunter Walton.
Okay. So that is a wedding picture from my wedding. Me and my wife got married about 3 years ago. She would know the exact date, but I'd say about 3 years ago.
Oh,
And
you don't know? Wait. You don't know the exact date, bro?
I remember it was August. No, it was October 30th, and it was how long ago, babe? 3 years ago, October 30th. That was it was good, a good time. I married my wife. She's from Cuba. Um, she came here on a work permit, and I met her, and we fell in love. Never thought I'd settle down, but it
Mm.
happens to the best of us, and I'm very happy. This is actually on my dad's property. He does like farm to table dinners and different events, so it was perfect. I mean, I saved a whole bunch of money. We got married, and yeah, she's also my business partner. So everywhere I go, she is. So it's good.
Tell us about this.
This is a old photo as well. This was before I even got into the tourism industry. My dad is a big farmer, so I was helping him out on the farm, and this is a field that I actually planted out. And Mr. Or Sir, this is actually on Sir Alden McLaughlin's property. He had a piece of land up in East End at the time. This was donkey years ago. I was probably 16, 17 at the time, and he had lent us a plot of land to farm. And I planted everything you see there, and I used to get down on my knees and weed the fields out, sow the seeds, developed a good, strong, hardworking work ethic. Thanks to my father, really grateful for him. And
You want to give a shout out to your dad now?
yeah, shout out to my dad. His name's Joel Walton. He's currently the CEO of the Cayman Islands Shipping Registry, which is the largest shipping registry in the world. And I think it would be probably in the top 5 for Cayman's economic producers of shipping. You see the big red Cayman flag. It's flying on all of the big yachts and stuff all over the world. So I've actually had some boating experience as
Yeah,
well.
some of those yachts were earned or are earned by Russians. So,
Oh yeah, we know. He knows. He told me. He said that's one of the things about the business is that these people are billionaires, and not all of them tend to have made it the right way, but they have money, and this is the service that we offer. And it's not really up to him at the end of the day who registers their boat at Cayman, but it has definitely done a good service for the Cayman Islands. And again, I'm very grateful for him because he's been very successful, but he's never spoiled any of us or anything like that. Everything I've got, I've had to work hard for. If I call him right now and I say, Dad, I need $25, he'll tell me he don't have it. I got to work for it. So all my businesses, all of my success, I have done myself, and that's through hard work. And I think that's the most valuable thing you could teach anybody is, especially your children, is how to work hard and honestly, right? So
yeah.
that's what's helped me to become the businessman I am today. And yeah,
Yeah, because the thing is, you say you're under 30, right?
I'm 28.
Okay. So you're under 30, and not only are you a fisherman, you're a farmer, you are a licensed captain, right?
Mm.
Like should I address you as Captain Walter?
Well,
Walton?
well, you should actually, and I think I got to get some people to put some respect on my name because
Aye, Skipper.
a lot of people don't know this, but about 2 months ago, I actually sailed a boat. Me and one of my other friends, it was only 2 of us. We sailed a boat 600 miles from Panama. So that was about a 6-day trip at sea. And this time of year, it can be quite rough. But yes, I was the captain, and we made it home in one piece. So yeah, I mean that's Caymanian. You see, being a captain, being at sea it's in our blood. It's who we are. It's our heritage. Being seamen, and I think it's so unfortunate what has happened to Cayman because from the outside looking in, especially, I can imagine what people must think about us in Bermuda is that, oh, this is the rich country and they're doing so great, right? But from the inside, I mean, we're suffering. We're losing our heritage, our culture, everything it is to be Caymanian. I mean, if you check the stats right now, we're outnumbered. We're a minority in our own country. And
Yeah,
not only
we'll get into that in a little while.
yeah, but not only is that wrong, but it's unjust, and you can feel the pressure. But back to being a seaman, you know, those are the people who built this country. My grandfathers, both from both sides, were both seamen. They risked their lives at
Mhm.
sea. While my grandmother and my parents were fighting mosquitoes and had to burn fire every night. And it was really hard living here in the Cayman Islands back in those times. And unfortunately, this entire country has seemed to forgot that. And it's really a shame what our forefathers had to go through, for us to be living the way we're living now in Cayman. I mean, like I said, it might sound like we're doing well, but the reality is that Caymanians are being left behind. And
All right. Well,
that's
we'll get into that as you move along.
no problem.
I brought up you being a farmer, a fisherman, uh, boat captain, right? We're in, let's put it this way, in the modern day context, you're not gonna find many young persons your age who actually are farm who did farming, right? Let's be quite frank.
Yeah.
Um, you're not gonna find many people your age who are fishermen.
No.
You're not gonna find many young people your age who are licensed captains of boats, right? Of ships, I should say.
Yeah.
So I say that even before we get into the other part of the discussion, that um, you exemplify, as you say, that work ethic that you gained from your father, your grandparents, your mom. So I just want to commend you for having that work ethic, because it's very rare to hear somebody your age talking about, having done the things that you have done, or not just to survive per se, but just as your upbringing, right? So hats off to all your, not just your parents but your entire community for raising a fine young man such as yourself. Because
Thank you.
I don't know you from Adams in the sense that you and I have never met, right? I've been to Cayman Islands once, and I pretty sure I never met you, but
Mhm.
I've seen your face. I don't know what algorithm caused me to see your Facebook pages, but
Yeah, well, pretty hot topic here in Cayman right now. You know, I've been doing a lot. I'm trying to get my name out there, and obviously it's
Mhm.
election season, so you know.
Yeah, I'm talking about pre-election. Over years ago, I saw this guy Hunter Walton, and just something about your some of your posts that
Mhm.
caught my attention, and I just added you as a friend, and we've been Facebook friends for a while, and I just
Mhm.
want to commend you for all the stuff that you are doing as a young man, because throughout the Caribbean region, it's pretty hard to find persons your age who have the multitude of skill sets that you do. So I just, as a not so young man, I want to commend you for what you're doing, right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Famous. Appreciate it.
So, any more you want to tell us about the lovely lady who you married the day before trick or treat? You guys celebrate trick or treat down there?
We do. It's more of a modern day culture thing again. You know, Cayman
Mm-hmm.
being a Christian country, back in the day, they didn't really support it, but we do now. But
Mm-hmm.
no, my wife, my lovely wife, she's solid as a rock, man. I mean, that's my biggest supporter. You know, especially with what I've been doing these last couple of months, almost a year now. I've been campaigning. It's been quite tough. And I don't think I could have done it without her. So for all the young men who are listening out there, you know, try to find yourself a good woman. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because if you can find a strong, good woman, I mean, there's almost nothing you can't do. You know, between having a good wife, having a strong belief in a relationship with God, I don't believe that ain't any bridge you can't cross. And she does keep me motivated. And like I said, she's my business partner, so we're always working together on something new. Um, and that's what it's about, you know, building with each other. And her being from Cuba, she has a different culture as well, and
Mm-hmm.
I've adapted to that culture very well. I mean, very loving people. I visited her family, also very loving people, and we've come together very well. So I have to say I am
Did
very
you,
grateful for my wife. You know,
did you uh, have you learned any Spanish?
huh. I've learned some Spanish, but I can't say I'm fluent, but definitely I'm starting to understand a lot. This is an
Mhm.
English speaking household, but I'll understand when she's speaking Spanish with her friends, and even in my travels and stuff, I've started to pick it up. But speaking it fluently, I just can't get it yet. But we're gonna work on that. It's not a problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So let's transition on. Tell us about this.
So this is a post that I made a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, a few months ago maybe. But yeah, running in this election feels like the closest thing I can get to fighting for freedom in our country. That's why I'm doing it.
So just elaborate about the fighting for freedom in our country. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I can tell you, as a young Caymanian who has tried his best, um, unfortunately, his best is not good enough for this island. Constantly being met with roadblocks, uh, being priced out of the country. This is all I've ever known. But unfortunately, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, is that, this is my home, but it's getting more and more difficult to see myself having a future in my home. And my family's been here for generations. This is all I know, you know?
Mhm.
So just seeing the difficulties that I faced, seeing the difficulties that friends and colleagues, because in my neighborhood, I've lost a lot of friends. Things have changed. Things have gotten difficult. We're no longer working. We're taking the wrong way. Um, Getting involved in drugs, and the importation of guns are coming in so much now that a lot of young Caymanians are resorting to violence. And it's been really sad, man. I've lost a lot of friends over the couple of years, and it's, like I said, gun violence, drug related, because it's easier to make a quick buck than it is to go work for $6.50 an hour. Um,
Mhm.
so for me, it's like I'm good. I've been beaten this entire election, but I'll make it through. I'm, like I said, I feel like I'm pretty resilient. But other all Caymanians deserve a chance, and if no one's gonna give us that chance, we have to fight for it. And I'm hoping that other young people will see uh, why I'm doing it. It's not just about the money or the power. It's about actually making change and making Caymanians' lives better. Because previous governments have only seemed to make, like I said, the expats' lives better, or they come here, get status, and then they grow their wealth. But the average Caymanian, non-landowner, not coming from a rich family or anything, will find it extremely difficult to come from the bottom to the top. You'll also be met with a lot of roadblocks, um, no help from the government, no subsidies, no training. We don't have vocational schools in Cayman. So with the lack of education, it's like you're setting us up for failure. So they say when you want something done right, you should do it yourself, right?
Mhm.
And being a business owner, I've had staff, and I've seen that time and time again, where sometimes I want something done right, but the only way to get it done right is to do it myself. So I'm putting myself on the line, and I'm fighting with a vengeance. And yeah, there we go. And I hope that the people of Georgetown West give me the opportunity. Um, that's the community I grew up in. I know a lot of the children, a lot of the people growing up, a lot of the elderly, a lot of the generational Caymanians I'm very well familiar with. I've been working hard in this community now for the past year, if not years. There's people who will testify to that. And this is my area, so this is the area that I choose to represent. And I'm going to give them hell this election. They think it's over, but I don't. I don't have the funding like the big parties, but I have something they don't have. You know what I mean? And that's hard. So I'm gonna use my determination, my hard work, and we're gonna get her done. If not this time, there'll be another time. But I think it's best that I use my energy now, and you know, I think this is the
Well,
time that people got to think hard and see if they want to try something different, if they want to make change, especially for Georgetown West. There's only one option. That's Hunter Walton. If you're looking for change. Um, So yeah.
Well, well, what I would say, I've been involved in politics most of my life. Sometimes it's not about actually winning the election
Mhm.
versus raising the issues, right?
That's right.
The
That's right.
party that my family has been involved with all our lives is called the Progressive Labor Party.
Mhm.
And for 30 years, 35 years, they were the opposition. Like they literally lost every election for 35 years.
Oh
But
wow.
along the way, what they did is um, kept continued to raise issues, the issues of the working class, the issues of blacks, the issues of Portuguese Bermudians. So whether it be maternity leave, the need for equal pay, the need for blacks to get, at one point blacks couldn't go to certain school, or blacks could not go couldn't even get government jobs
Oh
in
wow.
Bermuda at one point in time. Blacks couldn't buy property in certain areas. The Portuguese, who were a lot of them that came initially uh, as working in agriculture, they couldn't bring their families here to live. So it was a lot of civil rights issues.
Yeah.
So even though they didn't win the elections, they won the hearts and minds of the people by standing up for issues, bringing issues that the damn government didn't want to talk about, and
Mhm.
standing on principle on those issues. So over the course of time, they won the hearts and minds of the people because what the people saw is this party was not necessarily about getting elected just to
Yeah.
get the money, right? Um, it's about stand up for the people. So from 1998 to now is what 27 years, right?
Mhm.
27, yeah, 27 years. In 27 years, we lost one election, right? We've lost one election in 27 years. Now, some people might say, oh, it's unhealthy. But the point I'm getting at is that when you stand on principles before you get elected, and when you stand on principles after you get elected, the people will always be with you. There'll be some variations of how many people are with you, but
Yeah.
overall, the people will remain with you. We just had an election less than a month ago,
Mhm.
and we were re-elected comfortably, right? I say that in the sense that I'm transmitting this to you as a young man, right? That when you stand up for your fellow Caymanians, when you stand up for the issues that are affecting your generation, whether it be minimum wage, whether it be immigration, whether it be the opportunity to buy homes, these are fundamental things to people's lives, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you're not just saying, oh well, we're fighting for reproductive health, or we're fighting for um I don't know, whatever type of things that might not necessarily be um fundamental. But if your generation can't earn homes, or your generation can't even get decent paying jobs in your own country, then Rio is gonna be what Rio is gonna be in 10 years from now,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm just take it from somebody twice your age, that I'm just encouraging you that even if you don't win this election, right? You have to win the hearts and minds of the people,
Mhm.
one person at a one household at a time.
Yeah. And I get that. I get that feeling. I mean, in the case that I'm not successful, um, I'll continue to be persistent. It's important. One of the big things that made me so popular so fast in Cayman is the fact that I had a mouth. I actually opened my mouth and I spoke up about issues. Um, so it's it, it's nerve wracking at first, but once you do start to get those issues out and people agree with you, people start to pay attention, and you'll even see some of the candidates running now. It's like, I mean, maybe it's just in my mind, but it seems as almost they've copied some of my plans, word for word. And I say, well, oh, well, that sounds just like what I said, but then at the same time, that's also good because that's what needs to be done. So, it's like you're saying, raising awareness is almost just as good as being elected, but also holding the elected officials accountable for the promises that they've made. So
Mhm.
in Cayman right now, the big talk is immigration.
All right, so
You know,
we'll get into that in a minute, but let's remember we have most of the people that are going to watch or see this or hear it are going to be outside of Cayman. So
yeah.
let's do a
Okay, no
little
problem.
plug for educating the masses, right?
Yeah.
So in the Cayman Islands, you have 19 electoral districts. For
Mhm.
those who can see this, their Cayman Islands actually consists of three different islands. There's Grand Cayman, which is the large one here. There's Little Cayman, and then there's Cayman Brac, right?
Yeah.
And amongst those three islands, there are 19 electoral districts. Um, we of the overseas territories, the Bermuda and Cayman Islands are unique in that we both use the one man, one vote. We both use what they call the Westminster first past the post. So, which means whoever gets the most votes in that individual seat, they're the winner. Pretty simple, right? You get the most votes, you win. Um, whichever coalition of candidates have the most seats are the government. So you're having an election on Wednesday date for the election in Cayman Islands?
April 30th is the official date, but of course there's like mobile and postal ballots that I think are, well, some are being sent out now.
Hmm.
But the official date is, yes, April 30th.
So what is mobile ballots? What is that?
So you can request like a mobile ballot. So like if you live overseas, or they have like, you have to register, you have to show proof that you're leaving the island, and then or that you're overseas at school XYZ, and they can mail you the ballots, or they have a mobile voting system already in place. So that's just for the people who aren't going to be on island on the date, or overseas students that are registered to vote.
Okay, so that was actually a big topic in Bermuda in this last election that
Mm.
there were some who were upset with the government that the election was called while a lot of young Bermudians were away in school, right?
Yeah.
And one of the Cayman Islands, to my knowledge, is the only overseas territory that has mail ballots, right? So
Mm.
one of the things that we are looking at modeling after Cayman Islands is actually having what we call it absentee ballots, right? Where we
Mm.
allow for absentee ballots, whether it's on the electronic or mailing and such as what you all have in Cayman Islands. So what I like to do another time is to further have a discussion with yourself and others about, even someone who's Caymanian who lives abroad, how did that work? Because we have to educate ourselves in order to educate our people as to how this is actually going to work, right?
Well, I know it's worked well in the past, because I've had quite a bit of friends that were away at school, and they would just, they'd mail them the ballot, and they would send it right back. Um, and it was great because, of course, they're busy studying and they can still participate in politics at home.
Mm.
So, I can look into get some more information for you, send it on, and I think it's something that maybe Bermuda and other overseas territories can benefit from. Um,
Yeah, because the thing is that years ago there wasn't a significant number of I should say every election, every generation, more and more Bermudians or more Caymanians are now overseas in school. As we
yeah,
know, years ago, many people didn't get the opportunity to attend university. So now
yeah.
that has actually changed. So let's as we're going in the half, I just want to give a shout out to my fellow co-host Shayna Smith Archer of the Virgin Islands. I don't use the B name in front. Speaker Shirley Osborne of Montserrat, and someone from your island who helped us to start the online show, Mr. Eden Harrelson of West Bay. I want to give a shout out to Eden and his family. And also want to give a shout out to our media partners. That would be Cayman Road in the Cayman Islands, Channel 82 in Bermuda, CBN Radio in the Virgin Islands, Radio Turks and Caicos in obviously Turks and Caicos Island, and CBC in the island of Barbados. So we actually do have quite a few media partners. That's why I say we want to take some time to educate people about what's going on in the Cayman Islands, right?
Oh, that's good.
All right, so let's get into some of the issues that's affecting Caymanians, especially those of your generation. Tell us about home ownership. I don't know this young lady, but I see the title.
Okay, well, home ownership. Like I was saying, when Cayman was on Cayman time prior to COVID, house and land was quite cheap. Land was actually out of waste. I mean, development's only really kicked off the last 10 years, but definitely once COVID kind of cooled off, we had thousands of people flooding this island and purchasing properties, 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. And either if they were rental, investment properties, because people were educating themselves during the lockdown. So they, they were coming to the Cayman Islands, or figuring out the tax situation, the financial situation, the status situation, and we just had a flood of people coming into the island. So, for example, my mother's house is a 3-bedroom house, centrally located in Georgetown, nice neighborhood, and she got that, I want to say about 15 years ago, and it was $180,000.
Cayman dollars or US?
Yeah, Cayman dollars. Sorry, so 180,000 is what? Almost 250,000 US, 250 US, 250,000 US, and now that same house today goes on the market for 500,000 CI, which is $500,000, or about 600,000 US dollars. The price has doubled, and again, with all the foreign investment flying into the Cayman Islands, realizing I can make a $1.2 million investment and I can apply for status and get fast tracked. People were coming here and buying land, and Airbnb as well. I don't know. Do you guys have Airbnb? Is that like something?
Yeah, we have it. It's become quite an issue in Bermuda now, where a lot of people that used to rent, let's say, 1 or 2 bedroom apartments, are now took this off the market in order to have it out as Airbnb.
Yeah. So we've had that same issue too. We've had a lot of people coming, buying Airbnb. So one person will own, some people will own 1 or 2 Airbnbs. That's okay. That's a business model, a mom and a pop making a little money. But then now we have, and what my biggest fear is in Cayman, is that we have these large arbitrary Airbnb businesses. So people are owning 20, 30, 40, 50 Airbnbs, different apartments. And, you can imagine 3 months out the year, they're left empty. And this is it's very unhealthy for the real estate market, because it creates almost like an artificial demand. So we think that there's, a massive demand for houses, when in reality, a lot of them are left empty. So if all those houses were to go back on the market, the numbers are going to start to come down. So this was something I was looking at last year. And me and Miss Sandy from the Mall Road, we actually fell out over this conversation, because I was saying that we should be looking into Airbnbs and seeing if there's any arbitrary Airbnb operations in Cayman. Somebody owning 20, 30 Airbnbs is my problem, not 1 or 2 people. But when you have a serious housing crisis in Cayman, small country, the luxury developments are going through the roof, but affordable developments are not. It can be a problem, and that's all I was saying. It could be a problem. Maybe we should look into it. But it's definitely left us outpriced, man. I'm telling you, my friends have bought before COVID, and immediately after, the same property is doubled in value. It's left us, without a chance.
I think one of the differences between Bermuda and Cayman Islands is that your real estate laws allow non-Caymanians to come there to buy any value property, right?
Yeah, they actually use it as a ticket to get Cayman status. So,
Right.
um, and that is one of the big issues that I want to tackle here in Cayman is that I and this is putting, I understand it makes financial sense and economic growth and whatnot. When we talk about all the all of the problems with this economic growth, how it's not trickling down to Caymanians and there's a million problems with it. I would like to put a freeze on status grants and PR grants until we reassess the system, and make sure that people are either integrating, they're providing meaningful community service and impactful to our community, not just coming with a check and saying, "Sell me your rights," because that's what we've done. We've sold our rights, and it's starting to create a social divide in Cayman. We never had that problem, but unfortunately, we're getting to that point now. So if we don't act now, I fear it may be too late.
All right, so let's discuss another topic. Minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
Yeah, sorry.
They yeah. So government was recommended to increase our minimum wage to $8.50 per hour, and of course,
$8.50 Caymanian dollars.
Yeah, $8.50 Caymanian dollars, which is about roughly a little more than 10 US dollars. And unfortunately, it wasn't pushed through. And I understand that's a huge jump to take people from $6 an hour or $6.50 and just have to say, okay, no more of that, $8.50. It's going to throw a lot of businesses out of place. And I think what the government ended up doing was they're now dividing it into sectors. So you have like the restaurant and hospitality. So what they've done is they bumped that up, and they've left your housekeepers, your gardeners, your landscapers. They've kind of left them down there. And realistically speaking, now, I do not think that someone can survive on $6 an hour. But people are coming from very poor countries, and they're making it work. And when I say making it work, what they end up doing is they end up going and exploiting our natural resources, overfishing, fishing for small fish, and it's a detriment to the country right now. And what I had proposed was to do a gradual increase, at least knock a 50 cents onto it this year, get some feedback, knock another 50 cents onto it next year, get some feedback. But unfortunately, people won't be able to afford helpers, caretakers for the elderly, and stuff like that. But even so, I think that when it comes to caretaking, especially for elderly, the government should intervene at some point, maybe offering some subsidies or whatever is necessary. But $6 a wage, man, no politics involved, but that's a slave wage in Cayman. That is a slave wage.
And I think what I would advise you not to buy into is that people can't afford to do this, right? We have in Bermuda, we raised our minimum wage we never had a minimum wage before, but we raised it to $16.40 US an hour, right? So that's under maybe like $12 Caymanian dollars, right?
Mr. Famous, let me tell you, if I could go outside today as a Caymanian Hunter Walton, me, and I could find a job for $16.50 an hour today, if I could find a job, I would be happy. But the reality is, Caymanians are second-class citizens in their own country.
Say that again. Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
I said, if I could go out today, and I could get a job.
The ending part.
Oh, you're talking about Caymanians being second-class citizens in their own country? You didn't know that?
No, because we've been told
with briefcases full of money, or what?
We've been told, right, by a former government minister and their business associate, Bermudians should stop being so xenophobic, and they should be like Caymanians. Look at Caymanians, how successful they are. They don't play the race card, and the Caymanians, their economy is booming, and all the Caymanians are happy, and all this type of thing, right? And I came to Cayman Islands.
Everybody else is happy except for the Caymanians right now. Let me
I
tell you.
came to Cayman Islands in 2018 for 1 week. I was there for 1 week, right? And no offense to anybody, but it was first of all where I was staying, I could hardly find a Caymanian. That's number one,
Yeah.
right? When I went to many of the restaurants or gift stores, no Caymanians. I
Yeah.
went to the airport, no Caymanians, or
Yeah.
very few Caymanians. Let me put it that way.
Hmm.
The
Oh,
only
we.
place I saw Caymanians were the taxi drivers or minibus drivers. And then I met a good friend of mine. I won't call any names, but I met a good friend of mine who took me around to meet real Caymanians. And
Mhm.
they, basically was like at that point saying, listen, if we mean the Caymanians don't stand up, we are going to be outnumbered in our own country,
Yep.
and we are going to be not be able to afford land in our own island, right? And
Yep.
that was pre-COVID. That was 2018. So I could only imagine what it's in. But to the point of minimum wage
Mhm.
is that, as you said, you were saying people getting paid $6.50 an hour. That's $6.50 Canadian. I don't know. That's what, $9 US an hour, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's slave labor. It is slave labor,
It is.
bro.
It is.
Right?
If you go look, Mr.
Take
Famous,
away.
that they catch to eat to survive in this country right now, the little tiny little fish, and they just take the hose and wash the scales off of them.
Mm,
That's what they're exploiting our natural resources. Um, a one-bedroom apartment will have 6, 8, 10, 12 people living in a one-bedroom apartment. They will renovate them. The people are living in cars right now. I know for a fact, and this is a part of our traffic issue, is that every expat worker, we don't have a transportation system. Every expat worker comes here, they need a car to get to work. And people are renting cars for $500 a month, and they'll live in it because it makes sense for them to live in their car and drive to work than it does to go and spend the minimum I've heard of a one bedroom apartment right now, or one room, not even an apartment, not even a studio, just a room, is about $800. So on top of the extremely low wages, the quality of life here in Cayman is just diminished. It's gone.
yeah.
And
Shout out to Mr. Paul Deal, who is a Bermudian, is one of our heroes, is one of firefighter, and he is an avid fan of visiting the Cayman Islands and tuning into Cayman Malwares. I think it's probably one of um, Miss Hill's top listeners, if I want to say.
wow.
Good night, Mr. Deal. I don't. He and I don't agree on football teams, but he's my mate, whatever.
Yeah.
And he lives in the same parish that I do.
Oh, nice. All right, Mr.
Um,
Very much.
yeah. So some of the same issues are happening here in Bermuda, right? Let's peel off the let's peel away the onion, right? We have a lot of expat workers in Bermuda.
Hmm.
Not proportionally, not as much as in Cayman Islands, but we have a lot of expat workers here from Philippines, from India, other
Hmm.
South Asian countries, who,
Yep.
as you saying, they are living, let's say, I don't know, 5 or 6 in a house. Maybe not necessarily paying exorbitant prices, but the point being is that if you allow employer to exploit immigration policies, to exploit labor, they will do it no matter what country you're in,
Absolutely.
right?
I see
Bermuda,
Caymanians bypassed all the time for
one
job
of the
opportunities.
major differences between Bermuda and the Cayman Islands and other islands is we have a strong union effort here, right? Like literally, there's a union for everybody here, right? Not everybody's unionized, but there's a union for everybody.
Mhm.
And the unions, I'm not saying they catch everything, right? My party, Progressive Labor Party, we are a labor party. I'm not saying we do everything right, but one of our founding tenants was standing up for the working class people of this country, right? And what I see happening in Cayman Islands and other islands to the workers, no matter if you're Caymanian or non-Caymanian, is I can't curse on her, but I guess you know what I
Exploitation.
want to say.
Yeah.
Exploitation,
Yeah.
right? So the point is that when you have people actively fighting against giving people something a wage just for them to live, not for them to get rich. Bermuda, they said, oh, if we went to minimum wage, we're gonna have to raise the price of a hamburger to $25 just to pay the workers and make a profit. Skirt tactors, ain't no hamburgers reaching the $25. Okay, people are making profits that they are just saying, oh, we're not making those profits. I'm not saying every business is making a profit. I'm simply saying that when employers try to tell you that they're not making that money, it is often lies, right? Are you there, Mr. Walton? I think he might have had a little. Yeah, I'll let him sign back in. But I would say to the people of Cayman Islands, right, whether you're Caymanian or you are a resident of Cayman Islands, when people are trying to say that they can't afford to give minimum wage, they can't afford to give a raise, what they are expecting is that, well, you're just gonna just accept that because you can't do any better in your own country, and if you lose this job, you can go back home and going back to making considerably less. They are preying on your what's the word they want? They are exploiting you, preying on your fears that you don't want to lose this job, right? We have in Bermuda we have two main parties: the Progressive Labor Party and we have the One Bermuda Alliance. The One Bermuda Alliance is not a Labor Party. They are proponents of Bermudians and Bermuda becoming like Cayman Islands, where we are outnumbered in our own country.
Uh,
And yes, no problem.
so
I
we
had
were
to
on.
do a little monologue. Welcome back.
Sorry about that, man. Yeah. So we were on exploitation of the workforce, right?
Yeah, and I'm telling you, right? This digs deep in my heart because I'm a union man straight through, right? We have the opposition party in Bermuda right now are proponents of Bermuda and Bermudians being like Cayman Islands, where we are outnumbered in our own island, number one, and that business must always come first and the workers must not get
Yeah.
pay raises, right? And
Yeah.
that's just basic what you're seeing going on in America, where Musk and Trump are just like, yeah, screw the workers. I didn't mean to curse. Screw the workers. But you let big business get it. But anyway, let me not elaborate more.
That's what's
Let's
going
go
on.
on.
That is exactly what is happening in Cayman. Previous
Correct.
governments favor economic growth and big developers. I've seen millions of dollars worth of concessions from previous governments go towards luxury developers while Caymanians cannot afford homes. How does that make any sense?
Well,
Everyone's riding the gravy train. Everyone's looking out for these little small select few groups of families, Caymanian families. A lot of them I can admit I'm close with, but I'm not one of them, you see. So that whole thing needs to break up, and we need to have a real grassroots government that's people driven. See what I'm saying? People driven. Quality of life, you know, stop the exploitation of workers. They've taken work permits and they have replaced our workforce. Caymanians are a small percentage of the island's workforce right now. It's all expat workers. We have, for example, we have 2,000 work permits selling real estate in Cayman. And if I could sell real estate tomorrow, if I could, but I'm not going to get the job, right? Because of all the bypassing Caymanians in the hiring process, XYZ, I'm not going to get the job. I would be well off in this country. I could actually manage to combat the cost of living, possibly afford a piece of land. But, you know, again, exploitation.
yeah.
Um, what do you got here? Population analysis numbered on the islands. Yeah, trust me, man, it hurts. Look at that. Look at that. We're outnumbered. Because if you consider the permanent residency and the non-Caymanians, outnumbered. Now, if you take that number of Caymanians, and this is information that I've tried to find, but they will not release it. Immigration and Border Control won't release it, even though I've requested FOI, is how many percent of those Caymanians are through status grants? How many percent of those Caymanians are through descent? Which I respect completely. If you're gaining Cayman status grant through descent, absolutely. Through marriage, absolutely. Through birth, absolutely. But I want to know, out of that number of Caymanians, which is what, maybe around 35, 37,000 people in our population, at what, 78 status grants last month alone, almost 100 status grants a month. How many of those Caymanians are actually generational Caymanians? That would be some interesting information to know, because I can tell you, a real, what I like to say, a real Caymanian is a rare sight nowadays, man. A rare sight. Did this freeze again? Mr. Famous. Hell or what? Internet. I guess we'll re-enter the studio.